impeachment, but also talk about what's going on over there. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Especially when all of this news is developing and you see this moving in so quickly. This morning, I heard that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is saying that our troops were in danger, and this is one of the reasons why they had to pull them out. What are your thoughts on that?
This wasn't an argument they made before. Our troops overseas are always in danger. But my Republican colleagues have said it right. This was an uninformed, impetuous decision where we have betrayed the trust of our Kurdish allies. We asked them to do part of our fight for us. We asked them to fight ISIS.
I'm glad you brought that up because 11,000 Kurdish troops died in the fight against ISIS, aiding the U.S. The president had said they didn't help us during World War II. Is it an oversimplification, Congressman, to ask you, do we owe them for what they've done?
Well, I think that if this is settling old scores from World War II, we can go back a lot farther and get very convoluted decisions. In the end, we owe them for fighting ISIS. And indeed, right now, they are the only thing keeping tens of thousands of ISIS warriors from being turned loose. And that is a threat not just to our allies, but to the homeland.
Yeah, and that is, I think, what concerns so many Americans, because we certainly don't want to have another 9/11 or anything like that happen all over again. The president tweeting this morning, and part of it says that his plan is to hit Turkey financially hard and with sanctions if they don't play by the rules that he's watching it closely. Is that enough?
Well, it's after the fact. Obviously, if you were going to make this decision, you would consult with our military advisors, our intelligence advisors, and our allies, and you would let Turkey know ahead of time. You wouldn't give them the green light, see how bad it turns out, and say, hey, maybe we should sanction them.
He's being criticized from both sides of the aisle this morning, and one of the primary concerns is the 10,000, give or take, prisoners, ISIS prisoners, that those Kurdish forces are currently keeping in prison. How concerned are you this morning that they could escape?
I think it's imminent. I think the fact that we're seeing a Kurdish bloodbath indicates, and the evacuation of towns and villages near there, that this is next. It is a very real threat. It is a concern of people in the intelligence, the military, and a bicameral, bipartisan basis in Congress.
Yeah, and the concern, obviously, that they could then turn to Russia for assistance and looking for help. And, you know, right at this point, I mean, how is our relationship with Russia? It doesn't seem to be going very well with everything going on.
Well, I think this decision benefits Putin. I think this decision benefits Turkey. I think it benefits Iran,
yep,
and all those that we're in conflict with. It puts us in an extraordinary situation. Perhaps the greatest of all is, why would our allies ever trust us again?
We got to ask you about impeachment because President Trump this week said the White House will not cooperate unless a vote is called on the House floor for impeachment. What would be, if you would imagine, Nancy Pelosi's response to that?
Well, first of all, nothing in the Constitution, nothing in the law, nothing in the House rules requires that. It is obvious there's a full-blown impeachment investigation that's taking place. This is at deflection, trying to wedge, I would assume in his mind, Democrats against each other. The fact of the matter is, in the public record, there is sound evidence that the President of the United States muscled an ally who is currently at war with Russia, used the Department of Justice to do so, covered it up, and is now obstructing the investigation.
The Wall Street Journal is saying that there is a rush by the House committees to impeach this president and reverse the vote of more than 16 million Americans. What do you say to those voters who did vote for the president?
I think the Constitution gives the House the authority to move forward on the impeachment process. It's happened in our nation's history, happened under Richard Nixon. No one called it a coup at that time. I believe the president has abused his power, and the House has its lawful right to investigate.
Congressman Mike Quigley.
Yeah, thank you very much. We should also mention, too, that Fox News did a poll and said that 51% of Americans now say that they do believe the president should be impeached, and the president reacting on that as well today, saying he doesn't like